I'll ask again if anyone is here to speak on public hearing for ordinance 21-1401. I'm seeing none, I'll call this public hearing closed. I'd like to call the order of the regular meeting of the Kingston City Council. I'd like to ask everyone to please stand. I'd like to ask Mr. Brown to lead us in the invocation, and Mr. Childs to lead us in the pledge of the flag.
Please. Our Heavenly Father, once again we come to you with grateful hearts for the opportunity to be here as a body in a free country to do the will of the citizens of Kingston. We have a special request tonight that we keep the Nelson Page family in our prayers as he's passed away, and also Councilwoman Wright's father-in-law who's passed away in Florida. Be with him as they travel to another state for the services of the father-in-law, and keep them in. Keep your arms wrapped around them, keep them safe, give them a safe journey home. But most of all, dear God, we thank you for your Son who died for us on our cross and forgave us of all of our sins. We give you praise every day. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Brown.
Present.
Councilmember Childs.
Present.
Councilmember Griffiths.
Present.
Vice Mayor Humphrey.
Present.
Councilmember Stockton.
Present.
Councilmember Wright. Mayor Nick.
Present. Do I hear a motion to approve the previous minutes as written?
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Brown, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Brown, any corrections or deletions?
No, sir.
Mr. Childs?
No, sir.
Council? Madam Clerk, call the roll in the minutes, please.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Childs.
Yes.
Councilmember Griffiths.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Humphrey.
Yes.
Councilmember Stockton.
Yes.
Mayor Nick.
Aye. Now's the time set aside for any citizens that wish to appear before the council. Do we have anyone wishing to appear before the council?
Well, I'm Scott Stout. I'm with the Rome Alliance, and just a few things I want to share with you that's going on. On Monday, I think that you all should have received an email about the legislative quote-unquote breakfast. It's virtual this year, and actually we're kind of calling it our forum, but it is Monday the 17th at 8 a.m., and it's going to be via Facebook Live. So you all should have received some information on that, so I'm not going to stay on that too awfully long. The women in business, you have a handout. This was going to be Wednesday, January the 19th. It will be in Oliver Springs, and you have that there before you, and there will be another one in March. Also, there will be a Tennessee drug-free workplace program that will be on January the 26th. Both of those are on this handout, so I'll let you read those. I won't take any more of the time on that. The Tennessee Riverline Summit will be January the 25th and the 26th. This will be virtual again this year, as it was last year. And a lot of good topics that will be coming down from that. We appreciate you all taking the kayaks that they donated and housing them. That's been very helpful for us. Also, the annual online auction will be March the 26th to the 29th. We're taking donations now, going out and getting some good stuff to be put on the auction. So it'll be a little bit shorter this year than it was last year. I think that it will create a little bit more excitement, but it was very successful for raising some funds for the Rome Alliance. And also, you'll be seeing the annual report come out pretty soon. One of the things that I just want to touch on very, very briefly is the hotel motel tax was up this year. Of course, it didn't take a whole lot to be up from last year, but however, it was up almost 1% over the year before last year, even with a COVID year. And we think that the reason for the county getting up, overall it was down, but this was just for the county. One of the biggest reasons we believe that it was up was because of the campgrounds, because they stayed full, and so we believe that was the reason. But anyway, you'll be seeing the numbers come down the pike very soon, but it was a good report. The Tennessee Association of Community Leadership will be having their conference here this year. They go around different places in Tennessee, but it will be in Rowan County this year, and it's in October. And you'll be seeing some more information on that as we go along, but there'll be folks coming in here from all over the state of Tennessee, so that's a good thing. That's all I have in my report. Any questions for the run lines? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Scott. All right, now we'll move into reports. We'll start with Mr. Griffiths. Do you have anything to report?
No, I'd just like to say I apologize for being late. I don't know if somebody might mention or not, but Melvin Page died, and then I was at the church visiting and ran a little behind. So I apologize, but no, nothing new.
Mr. Brown?
Yeah, the 911 report, if you'll notice, is missing from your packet. We have gone back to quarterly meetings. Our next meeting will be the 27th of January, so don't be looking for that. Just a couple of things I'd like to direct to our representative from the Parks and Rec, just an idea that I know that y'all changed your meeting to Thursday, I think. The water's back up, but if you all will look when the water goes back down, that the sandbar at City Park is probably the biggest or the most exposed that I've seen it in years and years and years. I don't know if y'all realize that makes it almost impossible to dock and come in and out of that boat ramp with any kind of high-priced boat because they don't know exactly where it's at. I'd like to challenge them to get with the city manager, I mentioned it today, to go to TVA and see if it'd be possible to dredge maybe 4 foot or anything would help and find out. I'm sure they've got the equipment to find out exactly where that's at so that we can get that. I know that there's a tournament that's scheduled to work out of that park at the end of January that they're concerned about whether or not they're going to be able to hold it in Kingston because they're afraid they can't get in and out of the blast off because after they came and looked at how bad the sandbar was. So if y'all could talk about that at your meeting and see if you could get something going on that. The other thing I mentioned before about trying to get some kind of commercial, if you will, before our city council meetings, thinking video again in my old BBB days. There's a trade show starting the 20th at Knoxville for fishermen, boats and RVs and all kinds of stuff. I'd like for maybe the Park and Rec to look into, I know if they've got a teacher that's involved down there now at the high school has got a audio-visual class and a teacher that's doing that. If we could get before, and David, I know he sent out the other day, he sent out a great idea about doing the ball field lights, got the befores, and now as soon as they start getting them up, we'll have the afterwards. But why couldn't we get with them, shouldn't cost hardly anything, to do a thing that, an infomercial for our boat ramps, our landings, where we could dock at, and especially get the befores and get the afters. And then when we get through down here at Ladd Landing, I don't know why we are not attending these trade shows and trying to sell the city of Kingston to bring these bass tournaments in here. And then, even if we had to, I know that one of the Park and Rec members is an exhibitor at this one that's coming up in Knoxville, so he would have all the information, Paul Rogers, where he makes the fly rods and that kind of stuff. He's exhibiting in this one that's coming up in January. But anything that we could send this clip and work up something we could send to, the high school bass tournament statewide that they have, send them a copy of that, say, here's what we have to offer. And then when we get this new bathroom facility that you talked about, that you got David to report on next week, guys, how great would that be to pull that in? Guys, we're going to bring you in a new $50,000 restroom facility for overflow. We're going to have an extra 100 parking places at one facility with stationary bathrooms. And then 58, we can accommodate this number of boats. City Park, we can do this. And then put the canoe launch thing on it. It looks like that would be just such a great idea for the Parks and Rec to buy and take hold of and try to get that in, and that gives them a year probably to work on it until we secure all of the deals that we're going to change out there. Just a suggestion. Thank you, that's all I have.
You have anything?
The only thing I have, we had this month in our beautification meeting, we didn't have a quorum. We had a lot of people that were out of town for the holidays and hadn't made it back. But we did have just some good discussion. Some of the things that was on our list, we had Midway School has agreed, their greenhouse, that they're going to donate flowers. So we've got flowers that we'll be able to use for our planter boxes. So we wanted just to send out a thank you to them. We also have the rest of the wraps for the control boxes for the lights. So those should be completed soon, as soon as it gets warm. And just the beautification's excited for the school to start on our Veterans Wall. So beyond that, that'll be it.
Thank you. Mr. Childs?
Just a big thank you to, I guess it's August Springs. We used a bucket truck today, take down the Christmas lights, and thank you to them. And have a copy of the RU board report. And Dave will probably have something about the lights on the interstate, because I didn't have time. I tried to get hold of Kendall. I knew you were supposed to meet or talk with him today.
Ms. Humphries, you have anything?
No, as Councilmember Brown mentioned, we did move our Park and Rec meetings to Thursday night. We were supposed to have our first one last week, but it was canceled because of the weather Thursday. So there's several things that I have lined up, as I mentioned last week, the fireworks and the things that Councilmember Brown just suggested. There's several things that the board needs to be discussing, but we weren't able to have our meeting, so I guess all that will come up next meeting.
I have nothing else to report also, so I'll turn it over to Mr. Bowling with the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Before you started, just real quick, if you could add that, maybe get a recommendation for that dredging. I'm going to go ahead and approach TVA, but if we could get maybe tell them I have a recommendation from the Parks and Rec Committee, so if they could do that, I'm sure they would, but that might help a little bit, but I am going to go ahead and talk to them about that. So, Mayor, I have a few things here in addition to my written report. I've had a few people ask about the status of the Ladd Park ramp replacement. We knew they'd be breaking for the holidays, but since then, with the rain we've gotten, as you've seen, the lake has come back up a little bit, so that's delayed them in getting back. I spoke to TWRA yesterday. They hope to be back on site next week, just as soon as the water drops back down. So we were fortunate before Christmas that they were ahead of schedule, so hopefully this delay won't make much of a difference on that. I got the contract back from Progression Electric for the traffic light controls. Forwarded that on to our legal department, and I think we're good there. So I'll be in touch with Progression tomorrow, and we'll get that moving. So they were as soon as they have that, they've already started reaching out to vendors, and so things are moving behind the scenes on that. So, and they actually specified in the project that they're aware that this is a priority project and should be done without delay. So
Pretty much all of our projects are priority projects.
that's it. So they're on top of that. As Councilmember Childs mentioned, obviously we have a big problem with interstate lighting at the exit here at 352, eastbound and westbound. I talked to Kendall at length yesterday, and then actually just before the meeting today, I got a call from Larry Brackett, and they think that they hope they have the problem westbound fixed. We'll find out when we all leave here tonight, because he's asked us to see if they're on. He doesn't know that they'll all be on because there could be some bad fixtures, but they did replace a transformer, and he thinks that'll at least bring some of them on. He's going to look, obviously lights that old, parts and replacements are getting pretty obsolete. He thinks they may have a few if there are a couple out, but he's pretty optimistic that we should have it westbound taken care of. Eastbound, we still don't know the problem. They're still not 100% sure where the power's coming from, so they're still searching, brainstorming on that. But at least that would be some progress. I've talked with Larry and Kendall both, and we all seem to agree probably the long-term solution out there is to look at LED lighting, but they're going to do the best they can to get what we have up and running in the meantime. So certainly appreciate all their help on that, and we'll see when we go home, see what kind of progress we have. Some of you, no doubt aware, you've probably gotten complaints too. We've had multiple complaints about the condition of the construction site at Center Farm. Kind of reached a fever pitch after the heavy rains caused extensive mud around New Year's Eve. All over the road, there were some pictures that were sent to me. I think some of them were on social media. Just unbelievable amount of mud that had washed on the road on New Year's Eve. I sent the fire department and Public Works out to spray off the road, scrape up the mud, and clean that up. As a result of that, I have an invoice in the amount of just over $1,800 that I plan on presenting to D.R. Horton in the morning. Mr. Cofer and I have a meeting with them, and we're going to make it clear to them that what our expectations are for that job site, and it needs to be kept to a much higher standard. I believe that they have had some personnel changes on that project that they've put in place that will hopefully help. But, we don't want to have to take any kind of drastic actions, but we're hoping that we can convey to them that we're willing to do that if that's what it takes. But I want the folks out there to know that we are hearing their complaints and we're working on it. So hopefully this meeting tomorrow will be productive to that end. Finally, just want to give you an update. You've approved quite a few surplus items lately. Had a lot of things listed. Just want to give you a couple highlights here. Our big bucket truck sold for $13,800. The small one brought in $5,500. The two Ford Rangers that Parks and Rec had both brought in over $2,200 each, which we were pleasantly surprised about. We had a welder that brought in almost $600. We had an old sewer camera that brought in $5,000. And Public Works hauled off almost $3,000 in scrap metal that was just laying around the garage. So been pretty productive at cleaning house and getting a little money to boot. So happy about those efforts, and that's all I have unless you have any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for the city manager? Mr. Brown?
Just one thing, I had a call today, David, I went out by the Center's Farm. If you're meeting with them tomorrow, could you mention to them about the off-street parking? There's a problem. They've delivered, and it's right at the same area where the clubhouse used to be. They got 3 houses there, and all the construction people are parking on the street. The next row down on the left, they delivered some of the trusses, and the trusses are sticking about a foot out into the roadway. So those people, and then they're trying to dodge the utility cut that has sunk, and it's about 2 inches. So that's slowing them down, but they're having to zigzag in and out, and maybe if they just park on the construction site and not the road, that would take care of then having to watch when they unload it's probably hard to do that with those trusses and the amount of rain we've had, and I understand all that, but that's, if you're going to meet with me, just mention that to them too.
We'll definitely add that to the list.
All right, thank you. Item 7 is addition to items of the meeting agenda after received and close the deadline. We've not received any. We go to number 8, unfinished business. Consideration of second reading of ordinance 2112-1401, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance of the city of Kingston, Tennessee by establishing regulations for campgrounds, travel trailers, and recreational vehicles within Kingston, Tennessee. To hear a motion to pass this on second reading.
Move we pass it on second reading.
Second.
Motion from Mr. Brown, second from Ms. Stockton. Mr. Brown?
No, we've had a public hearing, pass it on first reading. It must not be a hot topic.
Ms. Stockton, do you have anything?
I did not.
Council? Madam Clerk, call the roll on this, please.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Childs?
Yes.
Councilmember Griffiths?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Humphries?
Yes.
Councilmember Stockton?
Yes.
Mayor Nichols?
Aye. Now into new business, item A is consideration to approve the purchase of a 2022 All-Tech Model AT37G bucket truck in the amount of $132,857 based on Sourcewell contract pricing and upon availability. To hear a motion to purchase this truck.
I'll make a motion.
Motion from Mr. Griffiths, is there a second?
Can we second that with an amendment, or?
Second, get it on the floor.
Yeah, I'll get them.
Second.
Mr. Griffiths.
No, I just feel like since we had the workshop and Mr. Bowen said we should maybe work out the budget. And we know the part of it, since we can't decide on a used one, and the longer we wait to order a new one, the price is gonna keep on going up. And two, it's gonna probably take longer to get here. And I do appreciate Oliver Springs letting us park theirs today, but I think eventually we need to get our own, and that's my comment on it.
Mr. Childs.
Just want to get kind of, let everybody know our explanation on where the money's coming from. And on the amount was for the Dodge for the 132,857, but if you look in your packet for, I think it's $2,306 more, you can get a Ford. With the issues that has come up with people that I talked to on the Dodge with transmission and cooling stuff, I'd recommend that we go ahead, if we're gonna pay this much for truck, go ahead and spend that other 2,000, bring it up to 135, 163.
135 watt.
I think it's 135, 163, what it's coming up to. I could not exceed 136 to make it safe to say, I think that was the exact number on it.
Mr. Chris, you amend your motion not to exceed $140,000.
Yes. Yes, I do.
You accept that?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Yes.
Ms. Summers?
Well, again, going back to what we discussed at the workshop, my concern is the delivery on that is going to be 14, 15 months out. And what we're going to do in the meantime, considering we just spent $4,000 on the Christmas lights, and then we had, fortunately, the availability from Oliver Springs today to get the Christmas lights down, and that will be a problem again next year if we're still waiting for this new truck, not to mention, as we talked in the workshop about dodging a bullet with the weather, and anything could come up at any time that we don't have the availability to borrow something from another city. So if the city manager had mentioned that he had found a new one that is available now, but then it's going to be significantly more money, I think about $30,000 more money. So my concern is, I definitely think we need to buy something, but my concern is what we do in the 14 to 15 month window if we go ahead and purchase this truck and we're waiting. And I have a question there. Actually, I guess this would be directed to the city attorney. If we're borrowing a truck from another city, how does that fall within liability? If we were driving that truck or using that truck and there was an accident or one of our employees were hurt or anything, where would that be covered under Oliver Springs? Would that fall under us? How does that work with liability when you're using somebody else's truck?
Fall under our insurance.
That's your responsibility, yeah, that's correct. But that's why you've got the insurance too.
Doesn't matter if it was a rented truck, one borrowed, whatever, it's still all our responsibility.
That's correct.
So up until this point, I mean, I know when the question was asked last week if we had a plan B for what we're going to do in the meantime, has anything else come up? Or is it just we can buy this and cross our fingers for the next 14, 15 months, or we can pay significantly more, which I think was like $30,000 more to have one that we can purchase now and take delivery on now?
We're looking, for a plan B. We had one truck we got a tip on that was like $8,000. Not a permanent solution, but we thought it might be one to get us by until we had a permanent solution. But we went and looked at it. Tim and Logan went and looked at it. They claimed it was certified, but they had no documentation to that effect. And as of now, we haven't been able to get them to let us take it and get it looked at. So, and it had some other issues, but that was obviously issue number one. So, but to answer your question, no, we don't really have a plan B now. We don't.
I mean, I definitely don't want to have to pay $30,000 more to get something right away, but I'm just concerned about that 14 to 15 month time frame there that we're looking at.
I can agree with you. The city hadn't had a bucket truck forever, so it's, how many years it's been since, we've had one, but it's just, we just have to live with it until we can get there.
When did we not have one? We have had one.
Not forever.
Not forever,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, we've had one like the last 10, 12 years maybe. But I think, in the next 14 months, we just have to figure it out.
Dave Ball and Steel.
Big world still, that's the only thing I know we can do, because, you know, I definitely don't want to spend a lot of money on a used one that's could have potential issues. Now, the one that Mr. Golding's talking about, I happened to run across it, and if it could get, we discussed it today, that I think Tim's going to contact the guy again this week and see if there's any movement on it or what, and see if we can go that route, just to get us through.
Yeah, the guy indicated he had other people looking at it. Whether he does or not, I don't know, but, you know, if it doesn't sell, there's a chance he may let us take it and get it looked at to see if it can in fact be certified. If it can, like I said, that wouldn't be a permanent fix, but it might get us through, you know, no more money than we'd have invested in it, so we'll just see what happens with that.
Anyone else?
I just have one question, actually. This would be for the one that represents, our councilman represents REU. On the new truck that they ordered, and they had, was it a Ford that they ordered? Because I know that was an international, you know, we've got a Dodge here and then yours.
Well, they had the issue with previously with the Dodges also, and I talked to another group today that had had some transmission and cooling issues with them. That's when it's at Ford. I'm not sure what REU, what we purchased, because it's not, they put it in Ford, but we've not received it yet.
Okay.
But I can find out.
Well, I was just curious because obviously they purchase, I'm sure, those quite often.
Yeah.
We know much more than I do.
Yeah, we've had a couple of different I've had a couple of different utilities advise that we stay away from Dodge, especially given the price difference is negligible. So, like Councilmember Childs said, they're having apparently a lot of transmission issues with them. As for that international, again, like I said, I don't know the whole story on it. I gather that somebody didn't buy it that ordered it, but that was yesterday. It may be gone now. I don't know, but I want at least. As of yesterday, they had one on the lot, and I don't know if international trucks are normally that much more expensive, or it's just a demand, supply and demand issue is why they're asking such a premium price for it. But
What was the total price for it?
it was $160 and some change.
$164,250.
There you go, yeah, $164,250.
So I guess that's just kind of what I was looking at, is if we would, you know, if we want to look at paying more and having something readily available rather than hoping we don't need one and knowing that we will have to rent one again before we can take possession of this new one.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I'm glad everybody else has looked at this Ford. I asked David to contact the people. In your package, you have all the Ram specifications. I don't think in your package you have the new Ford recommendations.
No, I got those
So
after.
we got those this afternoon. So if you keep it like Stephanie does forever and ever and refer back to it, if this passes, we need to take the Ford and put in place of the Ram in the specifications, so that the record will reflect exactly what we're doing. And I would just remind you that we still don't know where the money's coming from. And if I heard somebody say, well, we'll put it in capitals. Even if you put it in capitals, you could have money to pay for it. With this passes tonight, with the $135,163, that puts us $297,000 that we do not have any means of paying for in next year's budget. $157,000 of it's coming from paving at Lead Landing that we pushed out without any line item to pay for that. So when it comes budget time, bear in mind that we need $300,000 from somewhere to pay for this. I would suggest that we take the money out of this surplus and immediately move it to, of course that's just a suggestion because he takes care of it, and off the sale of the surplus stuff and move it to capitals, earmark it for the bucket truck. So that we'll have that and we don't forget about it and spend it somewhere else. And then my last thing concerning what we do if this happens and if that happens, I listened to the meeting the other night. We were talking about if a tornado come through. I don't know what we'd need a bucket truck for if a tornado come through and knock the trees down. We don't own the trees. I don't know if we own any trees or not in the city of Kingston. I don't know if there's any on the right of way or not. But, and then to respond to Councilwoman Humphreys, we pay the city manager to take care of those things about what happens if street light goes down, he's got to fix it. If he has to get a ladder to go out there and fix it with, he's got to fix it. So us worrying about it, we pay him to manage the city and to manage those little details about it. I think our obligations is, he said he needed a truck. I think we're fixing to buy him a truck. Now, we can't reckon when it's going to get here, but I'm assuming that he would call tomorrow and put the order in, and if they get another truck in, they get one in. But I think that's a good deal about the $140,000, because very well could go up a little bit, depending on, even with the Ford or the Dodge or anything. Don't know how much that, for sure, how much that's going to cost. And if you notice, it says in the contract that this is a speculative bid. Thank you.
And one thing, just, they, obviously, they're telling everybody, worst case scenario, they're saying they hope that supply issues will break loose and that these chassis will be available sooner. And, that could definitely be a possibility, but he said he wanted to point out that time frame is, in their opinion, worst case scenario, so maybe it won't take that long.
Do we make a down payment on it or pay for it when we get it?
No, all we do is give them a PO and then we pay for the truck when it's built, so.
Anything else? Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Brown?
This is as amended, correct? Yes.
Councilmember Childs?
Yes.
Councilmember Griffiths?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Humphries?
Yes.
Councilmember Stockton?
Yes.
Mayor Neal?
Aye. Item B is consideration to authorize the city manager to execute payment in the amount of $375 based on the HGAC contract pricing and upon availability on the Ferrera fire apparatus for a Freightliner commercial pumper. I hear a motion to authorize this.
Make a motion.
Motion by Ms. Stockton, second by Mr. Child. Ms. Stockton.
This has already been in our capital outlay, and I think that's something that's already been planned.
Correct. It's been appropriated. We just don't know when. Obviously not as long a delay as the bucket truck, but we don't know when it's going to be built. But when it is, just want to be ready to go ahead and pull the trigger when we can get one before they're gone.
Does anyone else have any discussion? Madam Clerk, call the roll on the fire truck, please.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Childs?
Yes.
Councilmember Griffiths?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Humphries?
Yes.
Councilmember Stockton?
Yes.
Mayor Neal?
Aye. Item C is consideration of appointments to fill 2 vacancies on the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Brown.
I would move that the council appoint Levi Langford, whose term shall expire October the 31st of '22, and that we appoint Rob Jago, whose term would expire October the 31st of '25.
Is there a second?
Second.
So has anyone got anybody else to fill these 2 vacancies on the Board of Zoning Appeals? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Who was the second?
Rob Jago. Mr. Childs.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Childs?
Yes.
Councilmember Griffiths?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Humphries?
Yes.
Councilmember Stockton?
Yes.
Mayor Neal?
Aye.
6 ayes.
Last item on the agenda is consideration to formally accept the annual comprehensive financial report for the year ending June 30th, 2021. Last week, we had Mr. Hill come and talk to us about it with no findings in the audit report. So to hear a motion to formally accept it with the report.
Move to accept it, make it a matter of record.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Brown, second by Mr. Stockton. Any discussion?
Just that if you go to the very back page, it says no findings.
That's all where I went through first.
Very good report. You kept bragging on it, so.
Madam Clerk, call the roll and formally accept the audit report.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Childs?
Yes.
Councilmember Griffiths?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Humphries?
Yes.
Councilmember Stockton?
Yes.
Mayor Neal?
Aye. Nothing else on the agenda. This meeting is adjourned.
Well, it doesn't need action, but Just one thing real quick. First of all, I asked an auditor one time why they put the findings in the back of the book. Said if they put them in the front, nobody'd read it, so. But Kelly asked me to mention the pictures, council pictures, looking at February 1st or February 8th. I don't know if you all have a preference. We'd just like to get that date locked in so we can.
First week.
Yeah.
Are you good with that? Okay. Good deal. Thank you.
Which one we're doing?
Yeah, first.
What time?
Well, 5, we got a meeting at 6, so it'll be 5 o'clock. I'm sure Kelly will send us out many emails and text messages for reminders, for forget stuff. Now I'll call the regular beer board meeting to order. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll for the beer board?
Member Brown.
Present.
Member Childs.
President.
Member Griffiths.
President.
Vice Chair Humphries.
Present.
Member Stockton.
Present.
Member Wright. Chairman Neal.
Present. To hear a motion to approve the previous minutes as written.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Childs, second by Ms. Stockton. Madam Clerk, call the roll in minutes, please.
Member Brown.
Yes.
Member Childs.
Yes.
Member Griffiths.
Yes.
Vice Chair Humphries.
Yes.
Member Stockton.
Yes.
Chairman Neal.
Aye. With nothing on the agenda, this meeting is adjourned. We'll go into the regular meeting of the Kingston Water Board. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Member Brown.
Present.
Member Childs.
President.
Member Griffiths.
President.
Vice Chair Humphries.
Present.
Member Stockton.
Present.
Member Wright. Chairman Neal.
Present. To hear a motion to approve the previous minutes as written.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Griffiths, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Humphries. Are there any corrections or deletions to the minutes? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Member Brown.
Yes.
Member Childs.
Yes.
Member Griffiths.
Yes.
Vice Chair Humphries.
Yes.
Member Stockton.
Yes.
Chairman Neal.
Aye. Is time set aside for any citizens' comments? Is there anyone wishing to address the water board today? Okay, seeing none, we'll go straight into the utility director's report. Mr. Bowler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of quick items here. You may have seen within the last couple of days, the Treasury's finally released the final ruling for the use of recovery funding through the American Rescue Plan Act. We're in the process of going through that now. I actually have a call tomorrow to discuss it. We've also started working on the infrastructure scorecard that we mentioned to you previously. That's going to be a part of that, and hope to have more information on that soon. We did send out, at your instruction, we sent out solicitation letters to firms for both administrative and engineering services. We haven't received any back yet, but we have had some respond already to let us know they will be submitting. So we're looking forward to getting those. Hopefully by next month, we may be ready to start looking to schedule another workshop so we can start talking about potential projects in greater detail. But this is one of those things that's going to, when it starts moving, it's going to start moving quick. So we'll be ready on that. A few changes in the final ruling, loosened up a couple things, but not a whole lot different, and hopefully have more to report on that soon. Last month, we talked about the possibility of increasing the coverage that Servline offers, and we reached out to them about possibly raising that limit from $2,500 to $5,000. They stated they've never gone above $2,500, but they were going to check with their underwriters, their attorneys, to see if it even be possible. If so, they indicated that it would at least double the costs to the customers. Along those lines, we asked them if it'd be possible, should they be able to do that, that we could just offer additional coverage to customers who wanted it and wouldn't be forced to make an across-the-board change. And they actually said that approach would probably make it easier to get it approved on their end. So we don't have an answer on that, but they said they would be looking into it and they'd be back in touch, although it may take some time. So
Remember when we were in Chattanooga, there was another group down there that had the water line protection. I cannot remember what group it was. I have to go back through my stuff that I got to see if it was something that they might be going a little bit higher on than what Servline does.
we'll definitely look at any option we can, but it's if we can do it again, without across the board change, then I think that would be preferable. But we'll give you more information on that when we have it.
Anything else? Anything else?
No, I'm sorry.
Any questions for the utility director? Seeing none, we'll go into F new business. We have something on the agenda tonight. So authorize the utility director to bypass formal bidding for the installation of a 6-inch backwash line at the water treatment plant in the amount not anticipated to exceed $27,000.
Yeah, and I'm gonna just briefly summarize my note here in your packets, and then I have somebody a lot smarter than I am here to speak to you, to answer your questions. But the gist of it is, we have a very old pump that handles our backwash. It's, as of now, it's working, but it needs repairs, and there's no easy way to do that. To do it, they have to go in, they have to drain the clear well, get in, actually pull the pump out, and then either fix it on site if it's something minor. Worst case scenario, they would have to take it off, knowing that it's nearly 50 years old. The repair days are going to be limited. So, we're thinking not only about this situation, but also going down the road. And, we have a limited amount of time that we can operate our system with the plant offline. We have so much storage capacity. Beyond that, we have to run our plant, and to do that, we have to backwash. We can backwash off of system pressure. That's not an alternative that we've had to be very effective with, because the lines we have are just so small. But it's possible that we can upgrade that to not only take the pressure off that pump, but maybe eventually look at a whole different way of backwashing, so we're not having to do it. Basically, if a pump went down now with the lines we have in place, we'd be backwashing every couple hours, and that's certainly not efficient. So Kevin's here. Like I said, he can give you a lot more educated answer about what we need to do, but it is something we need to do quick, just in case that pump needs to be down for a while. We need a permanent solution. So.
All right, let's be on the floor for discussion. So is there a motion to bypass the formal bid and install this 6-inch backwash line?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Humphries, second by Ms. Stockton. Ms. Humphries, anything?
I just want to get it on the floor for discussion and hear what Kevin has to say.
Well, so David pretty much covered everything right now. We've currently got a 2-inch line in there, and we're using it. We just want to upsize that line, like David said, and give us more options. The pump is 45 years old. You can get parts for it, but it's to the point now it's special order. There is a company in Texas that will make those parts, but of course we don't know how long. I spoke with the company that's Wascon that is going to work on this pump. They're feeling very strong that it can be done on site, but he cannot guarantee that. He said until I get in there and get it exposed and see, we don't know. So as David said, by going with this 6-inch line, it will give us other options. Our options that we're really trying to go to is get away from that tube, get this pump fixed, but if they do have to send it out, we have that option with the 6-inch line, and we're going to try to prolong the life of that pump when we get it back. So we're going to rotate and hopefully buy some more time and look at our other options and get away from having that pump in the clear well, as to where we don't have to take that clear well down when it needs to be worked on. We can get it outside in the room itself is what we're looking at.
Any other questions? It's pretty much what we got to do.
It's just a sign another sign of the age of our infrastructure. So, what was a good solution 50 years ago is ready to be upgraded. So,
Catching up.
yeah.
Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Member Brown?
Yes.
Member Childs?
Yes.
Member Griffiths?
Yes.
Vice Chair Humphries?
Yes.
Member Stockton?
Yes.
Chairman Nick?
Aye.
6 ayes.
Thanks.
Anything else to come before the water board tonight? Mr. Brown?
Not water, I failed to bring it up before. The issue about the Swan Pond complex, if y'all noticed and kept up with Harriman, they voted not to go into a contract or negotiation. My understanding that last night at the county commission meeting, they voted for the county to get out of that get out of the deal with TVA 2 because of the contract. So we kind of led the way reading that contract, seeing what it was. There will be a group of concerned citizens now that will be coming to the county commission, to the city of Harriman and the city of Kingston to try to co-op and look at it and get a different negotiate a different contract with TVA to finish that complex.
Anything else?
Did they vote to do away with it or postpone it for 30 days?
Mayor, if I may speak, I was at the meeting. They did defer it for 30 days to the next
They're
meeting.
going to vote to do away with it.
All right, nothing else coming forward tonight. This meeting's adjourned.